Welcome, everyone. Owensboro Board of Commissioners regular meeting, September 17th, 2019. This time I'll ask the City Clerk, Beth Cecil, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Jeff Sanford.
Here.
Commissioner Larry Conder.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larry Magliner.
Here.
Commissioner Pam Smithwright.
Here.
Okay, item 3 on the agenda is invocation and pledge, and we'll call on Commissioner Jeff Sanford to lead us in that. Please stand.
Please bow your heads and join me in prayer. God of grace, we open our hearts, minds, and our souls to worship you. Thank you that today we dwell in your kingdom and live in your presence. Thank you that as we gather together, we join with all Christians across the world to glorify your name. Come be with us, inspire us, and lead us in our time together. We ask this in your beautiful name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 4 on the agenda, I've got a couple of presentations, and first, the Day of Health and Well-Being Proclamation and Constitution Week Proclamation. Is Aaron Shannon here? Are you picking this up? Got 2 Aaron Shannons here tonight. All right, come on up. Sure, $5. Bill you? Okay. The City of Owensboro, this proclamation. Whereas the Davis County Health Coalition, Healthy Horizons, was established in 1999 and has diligently worked on improving the health of the community for 20 years. Whereas Healthy Horizons is a group of volunteer citizens committed to determining the health needs in our community and addressing those needs through evidence-based practices. Whereas the access to health care, healthy foods, safe activities, regardless of socioeconomic status, are priorities in our community. Whereas substance abuse and mental health are additional priorities being addressed, as well as tobacco use. Whereas the focus for improving our community's health is achieved through a collaboration with several community partners invested in this cause. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim September 28, 2019 as Day of Health and Well-Being in the City of Owensboro, and I encourage all citizens to join me in this observance. All right.
My name is Patty Martin. My address is 3624 Tree Haven Bend, Owensboro, Kentucky, 42303. I just wanted to thank you, Mayor Watson, and commissioners for this proclamation. Healthy Horizons, your local health coalition, is diligently working for the health of our community, and your acknowledgement and enthusiasm for our mission on our 20-year anniversary is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All right, let's hear it again. Okay, the next proclamation is Constitution Week. Do I have a Terry Smith here? Yeah. Are you scared to come up by yourself? Okay.
It's a girl thing.
Oh, she
They
got
always
it.
do things in pairs.
Oh, you did? I'm not going there. Thank you anyway. Come on.
I've been a member
Come over and stand next to me. All right. You dare me to do what? Oh, DAR. Okay, I got you. City of Owensboro Proclamation. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September the 17th, 2019, we mark the 232nd anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to the magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September the 17th through September the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Thomas H. Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the September the 23rd, 2019 as Constitution Week in the City of Owensboro, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. All right.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Barbara Hatfield, and I am a member of General Ivan Shelby here in Owensboro. Daughters of the Revolution, and my DAR friends are with me here today. Today marks the 232nd anniversary of the signing of the Constitution. Let me begin with a little background history of the DAR's involvement. The tradition of celebrating the Constitution was started by the Daughters of the American Revolution. In 1955, the DAR petitioned Congress to set aside September the 17th through 23rd annually in recognition of Constitution Week. The resolution was later adopted by the U.S. Congress and signed into public law on August the 2nd, 1956 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. The goal of honoring the anniversary are to emphasize citizens' responsibility for protecting and defending the Constitution, inform the people that the Constitution is the basis of Americans' great heritage and foundation for our way of life, and encourage the study of the historical events which led to the framing of the Constitution in 1787. The DAR has been leading advocate in guiding the way for awareness, promoting and celebrating Constitution Week, and our DR helps to keep alive the memory of the men and women who worked hard to secure our nation's fundamental liberties. Thank you for being here and celebrating our wonderful living document. Also, thanks to Dr. Cuthie for having us here today as a part of celebrating Constitution Week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You should have read the proclamation. You did a very job night of it.
Good job.
Okay, item 5A, consider approval of minutes dated September the 3rd, 2019. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 5B, would you please consider board appointments? I will read two of them and then we'll vote. Apollo Area Neighborhood Alliance, reappoint John Cutzer to a 2-year term expiring September 24th, 2021. And Dugan Best Neighborhood Alliance, reappoint Charles Hatchett, Bobby McCormick, and Cecil Phillips to 2-year terms expiring September the 25th, 2021. Mr. Hatchett and Mr. McCormick, they've been volunteering for forever and a day.
Cecil, too.
And Cecil, too, yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you all for serving. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 6, ordinance. These are second readings. There will be a roll call vote. Counselor,
Thank you, Mayor.
you're welcome.
Ordinance 27-2019, an ordinance amending and updating sections of Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 3 of the Owensboro Municipal Code, and further repealing Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 3, Section 2-161. Publicly read for approval on second reading the 17th day of September 2019.
Thank you, sir. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, you have anything you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Any discussion from the table? Dais? All right, roll call.
Commissioner Sanford?
Yes.
Commissioner Condor?
Yes.
Mayor Watson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith-Wright?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 6B, Counselor.
Ordinance 28-2019, an ordinance levying ad valorem taxes for municipal purposes for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020, at the rate of 26.60 cents per $100 of assessed valuation of real property, 26.74 cents per $100 of assessed valuation of personal property, and 30.30 cents per $100 of assessed valuation of vehicles, and providing for the collection and apportionment of same. Publicly read for approval on second reading the 17th day of September 2019.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve, please.
Aye. Oh,
Could I have a
motion.
second?
Second.
Any more discussion, City Manager?
Briefly, Mayor, if I could,
Okay.
City Attorney read the actual rate, but just for comparison, the real property or real estate rate and the vehicle rate have not changed from last year, and the personal property tax rate has actually decreased from last year.
Woo-hoo. All right.
Great news.
All right, we'll have roll call vote then, please, Ms. Cecil.
Commissioner Condor?
Yes.
Mayor Watson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith-Wright?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanford?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6C, Counselor.
Ordinance 29-2019, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020, and amending ordinances 9-2019 to revise all beginning fund balances, carry over all outstanding encumbrances, capital projects, and rebudget funds. Publicly read for approval on second reading the 7th day of September 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager?
No, sir. Happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Commission? Hearing none, we'll have roll call.
Mayor Watson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith-Wright?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanford?
Yes.
Commissioner Condor?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6D, Counselor.
Ordinance 30-2019, an ordinance of the City of Owensboro, Kentucky, authorizing the issuance of A, general obligation bonds, Series 2019A, in an aggregate principal amount of approximately $4,680,000, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing the principal amount of bonds by up to $465,000 for the purpose of refunding all or a portion of the outstanding City of Owensboro, Kentucky General Obligation Bond Anticipation Notes, Series 2016, the proceeds of which were used to finance various public projects throughout the city. B, taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2019B, in an aggregate principal amount of approximately $3,750,000, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing the principal amount of bonds by up to $375,000 for the purpose of refunding all or a portion of the outstanding City of Owensboro, Kentucky taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2010, the proceeds of which were used to finance the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of an economic development project within the city. C, taxable general obligation public project refunding bonds, Series 2019C, in an aggregate principal amount of approximately $18,320,000, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing the principal amount of bonds by up to $1,830,000 for the purpose of refunding all or portion of the outstanding City of Owensboro, Kentucky general obligation public project bonds, Series 2011, the proceeds of which were used to finance amenities at Smothers Park, utility relocation cost, and street beautification costs around the event center located in the city. D, taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2019, in an aggregate principal amount of approximately $2,145,000, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing the principal amount of bonds by up to $215,000 for the purpose of refunding all or a portion of the outstanding City of Owensboro, Kentucky taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2011, the proceeds of which were used to finance the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of the second phase of an economic development project within the city. And E, taxable general obligation refunding and improvement bonds, Series 2019E, in an aggregate principal amount of approximately $36,690,000, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing the principal amount of bonds by up to $3,670,000 for the purpose of refunding all or a portion of the outstanding City of Owensboro, Kentucky general obligation refunding and improvement bonds, Series 2012B, the proceeds of which were used to finance and refinance the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of an economic development project within the city, approving the form of each series of the bonds, authorizing designated officers to execute and deliver the bonds, authorizing and directing the filing of notices with the state local debt officer for the bonds, providing for the payment and security of the bonds, establishing a bond payment fund for each series of the bonds, maintaining the heretofore established sinking fund, authorizing acceptance of the bid of the purchaser of each series of the bonds, and repealing inconsistent ordinances. Publicly read for approval on second reading the 17th day of September of 2019.
Thank you, Counselor. I make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second?
I would explain all that to you, but I think I'm going to turn it over to City Manager.
I'm happy to. I gave a more thorough explanation at our last meeting, as did the city's financial advisor, Stan Kramer. But essentially, I think of this ordinance as having two parts. One part is to refund, or essentially what you might think of as refinance existing city debt due to favorable interest rates to save money on those debt payments. And then the other part being to, again, refinance or to change or restructure into long-term debt what has been a bond anticipation note, which is a short-term financing. But the overarching point being that this is all existing debt of the city, so this ordinance does not authorize any new debt. I'd also like to acknowledge that Mark Franklin, the city's new bond counsel, is here. If anyone has any questions for our bond counsel, I'm happy to answer those. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions from the dais? Oh, okay. You're free to go, Mark. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithroyd.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanford,
Yes.
Commissioner Condor,
Yes.
Mayor Watson.
Yes, thank you. Item 7 is ordinances, first reading. We do not have any. Municipal orders, we do not have any. Item 9, city manager items. City manager, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
You're
Jonah Bronner, Andrew Klaus, Aaron Guzman, and Kyle Patton, probationary full-time non-civil service appointments to police officer effective October 14th. Shalisa Hamilton, probationary full-time non-civil service appointment to telecommunicator with the police department effective October 14th. Allison Sheppers, regular full-time non-civil service appointment to recreation specialist with the Parks Department effective September 19th. Kelly Moore, regular full-time non-civil service appointment to finance assistant with the finance department effective September 24th. James Green and Christopher Collins, regular full-time non-civil service appointments to sergeant with the police department effective September 30th. Michael Staples, regular full-time non-civil service appointment to lieutenant with the police department effective September 30th. And Courtney Yarrington Burton, regular full-time non-civil service appointment to sergeant effective September 30th. With the police department, correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 9B, city manager comments.
No comments tonight, Mayor.
Okay, item 10, communication from elected officials. Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to thank everybody that had anything to do with the air show over the weekend. It was really good. Tim Ross and all of our staff, police, public works, sanitation. As usual, early the next morning, it looked like nothing had happened. It was just as clean as it can be, and we appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Maglinger.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I agree. Last weekend was great. We had a lot of activity downtown. The Downtown Romp had their first event with the Bluegrass Museum, and it was packed. They sold 1,245 tickets, and so
So they actually sold tickets for
sold-
admission.
sold admission, packed the
that's
place, 1,245 tickets, plus a lot of concessions. And so anyway, it was a great event. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Commissioner Sanford.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on the other two commissioners just mentioned. We had a guest that came in from Florida, and and they were mentioning how much has been done down in the downtown area, and how far we've come with things to do. But there's one thing that we've been talking about previously is about people living downtown, and I think one thing we need to look at is Article 21. And if you're not familiar with that, it's rules in the downtown sector of where people can be, whether they can live on the first floor or where businesses should be. And I think it's something that needs to be looked at as far as maybe some changes. That's just my opinion. Working with different people that would like to actually live downtown. And I think that's kind of the last piece of the puzzle to what we put together over the years. But that's for further discussion at a later time. But it's something I'd like to look at in the future.
You have any suggestions, sir?
Well, I would like to look at the west side, actually, of the convention center, some of the neighborhoods over there. I think we could do some things, maybe tax credits. We could do things like Miss Shelton has done in the triplet twist, something like that we could do to enhance livability down in this area, because a lot of businesses do extremely well on weekends when we have big events, but the day-to-day travel and walk-bys in a lot of the stores downtown, you have to be able to do business day to day. It's hard to make it on weekends alone. So I think that's something maybe we could explore. I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to look in and see what we could do.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Condon.
Thank you, Mayor. Just
Welcome.
back up on what Commissioner Sanford had talked about. We have had this big push of individuals wanting to live downtown. One of the biggest things is, of course, affordable housing. One of the restrictions of Article 21 that specifically needs to be addressed is whether or not you currently have only retail or / commercial on the first floor of establishments, old or new. And that may need to be looked at, and I think it does, because our marketplace, we have a lot of retail, commercial space, not just downtown, but everywhere in our community that is fighting against the internet to just keep a business open. So the need may be that if residents wish to live on the first floor, so be it. That's the part I think that Commissioner Sanford is maybe talking about. Article 21 was put in place so you have continuity, that investments go up and the properties go up. But sometimes you just need to review it, just to make sure it is adjusting to the market that we have today. And hopefully that's what he was referring to. The air show was awesome, but the entire Saturday itself with walking the bridge, that is a great event. People love just walking that bridge. So when it's closed down and you have that many people walking across, it becomes a community event almost the entire morning. The air show the whole day was fantastic. So everyone who worked on it, it was done very, very well. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. I have a few comments tonight. I'd like to first recognize 3 young people in the newspaper this morning. Thank you, M&I. They were named National Merit Semifinalists, and I think that's awesome. Connor Satterley, Daniel Mays, and Noah Owen. Davis County young man, Davis County High School, in Apollo, and I think I'm trying to see. It's just awesome. People don't really realize how important that is to create that intellectual capital in our community, and I want to thank our school system and these kids' parents for putting him in the position to earn that scholarship. Also, I'd like to recognize somebody tonight, Lance Morris. He's instrumental in numerous emergency management processes in Owensboro and Davis County as a GIS analyst. He's always available to EMA, print maps for flooding and all the special exercises they do. He's critical to the damage assessment process as he teams with EMA. He, furthermore, critical member of Davis County Search and Rescue Team as he's the sole map creator for missions, providing command staff the means to direct effective searches. Lance is not only a completely dependable volunteer anytime we ask him for assistance, but is our linchpin to the city of Owensboro. I don't know other individual who supports us more anytime we need it, day or night, and in whatever capacity he will fill it. So I think we give him a little hoorah. I'd like to thank our public works folks, the police and fire, those that were there, and our public works sanitation, because Commissioner's right, she was exactly correct. We stayed at the Hampton and got up Saturday morning, and you couldn't even tell that there was anything going on. This afternoon I had an opportunity to be at the Kentucky Colonel's presentation of grants, and I say that so that nonprofits can take note that the Kentucky Colonels are putting out like $2.1 million from Ashland to Paducah in grants, and there were grant recipients from Litchfield, Muhlenberg, Ohio, Hancock, Murray at this grant presentation at the Wendell Foster Center. This week I took a tour of Methuselah with the Secretary of Cabinet, Secretary Ramsey of the Labor Cabinet, and try and encourage him to help us with our programs with young people, getting them to work early so that they may kind of stay on a straight and narrow a little bit longer. And to Larry's comment and Jeff's comment, I know how easy it is to order something off the internet. I actually did it once. But
I did it today.
I think that this community, set up the way it is, if you can't find that product at whatever store you go to, and try and buy it from the company, and try and stay away from buying from that Prime thingamajig, and because is it Amazon? Is that what it is? It really will affect this community and communities our sizes in a very negative way. So I encourage everyone to just stop and think about that. If you can't find it, help me, Pam, with stores. What we got, like Macy's and Kohl's and places like that. If you find a shirt that's made by Peter Millar, just order it direct from them, and that'll save our opportunity for our retail to build itself up a little bit in our community, because we're in desperate need. Because if these stores and retail places have problems, it's just trickle-down effect's not very good. So I just ask people to take a look at that. Item 11, open public forum. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. Oh, see, we gotta do something else yet. We have a little video we'd like to show you. It's about 45 minutes long, but I think you'll enjoy it. Here we go. is Jacob Rutledge. I met him last year at the air show, and he actually took a picture of a bald eagle and sent it to me that came out from the tree line over there on the Indiana side when those jets were flying over there. And Tim was gracious enough to make sure he had good access, and he's got a camera about 3 foot long and pretty nice photos. So I thanks Ms. Cecil for reminding me to put that on there. So, did I forget anything else? Okay. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. I love it. Comments are limited to issues within the scope of and responsibility of this commission. Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the benefit of the citizens of taxpayers. At this time, anyone who wishes to address the City Commission, please make their way to the podium to be recognized. Speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Since the item is not on the agenda, no response is required from the city staff or the commission. The mayor reserves the right to extend the time to the speaker. Who's up? Junior? Baby gonna talk? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
She's got a child.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't see you over there, Clay. My bad.
Emma Thompson, 1660 East 11th Street, 42303. By the
who's
way,
the
we
baby?
enjoyed, huh?
Who's the
Oh,
baby?
Daisy.
Daisy.
She has a lot to say. I just wanted to address me and a couple of parents that I know hate the drop-offs at Smothers Park. They're like 7.5 feet tall, and we get really scared sometimes. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that.
I have no idea.
There's
what
about
that is.
11 of them. And also, at night, I can't go at night, like Friday after 5 and stuff, because of the lighting at the park area. I'm negative 13 in both eyes with astigmatism, so I really can't see. And so that really, we don't go to Friday after 5 or anything like that because I can't see them play around and everything. So maybe something to do about the lighting next season. And then also, I saw a couple years ago they had strobe lights at the downtown Halloween stuff. And recently we found out that my 10-year-old has epilepsy. So I don't know if they had strobe lights last year, but maybe making something about that where we can't have strobe lights in the Halloween area.
At Smothers Park?
Well, they have the downtown Halloween, I forget what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Trail of Streets. And then a couple years ago, they had strobe lights around. So a couple of my friends who, I didn't know my daughter had epilepsy at the time. She couldn't go with her 2 autistic children who had epilepsy.
Very good point.
So just want to make that aware. There is a huge community around here that, you know, either due to epilepsy or just like, you know, emotional distress, stuff like that for some children and adults. We can't really, you know,
Sure.
come to those events. But also the lighting is a big deal. Like, I love that park to death. We have all our birthdays there. It's beautiful. So glad we have it. And but if I can't see my kids, and I
You
think
can
they
hear him
might-
probably, I would assume.
She's fine. She's not talking back or walking yet. But I have a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old as well. So I'm pretty confident. I'm a very vigilant parent when it comes to all that stuff. Pretty confident that they're not going to, you know, but you know, anything could happen.
Yeah, there's no place really to hold them in that park, keep them off the street, is there?
Right.
You know, the exit points are just so
The exit
wide,
points, yeah.
Instead of being, you know, funnel them into
Well,
an area.
it's a vast park.
Yeah,
And if there's no lighting,
more than one
you
child.
can't see anything. I believe there's lighting on the trees around the butterfly and stuff. But if you go down there at night, I can barely see anything.
What time's the park closed, Leland?
I don't think it does close.
Oh, it does not
technically.
close? It's the green belt that closes. So that's why they need the lights, because it stays on all
Mm-hmm. So, and then I don't know if there's anything you can do about the drop-offs. I understand that.
Explain that.
The
Can somebody
drop-offs-
explain that to me?
And those are 11 drop-offs without the ladder directly welded onto the side of it. These are talking about
So you
like,
just jump off of it and hit
you
the
can
ground?
jump off of it. I'm talking about the stuff that looks like the fire pole and then I don't know what you call it.
Leland, can you help us? Come on, Bigfoot. Those
I
thoughts.
played on the McDonald's on Frederica Street with the Hamburglar, so I don't.
You what? You're the hamburger there at McDonald's?
Wesley Park Plaza, that's where it was, so.
Yeah, she's speaking about on the playground, you've got openings, depending on the size and age of the child. They can actually go out, there's a fire pole, there's different steps and pieces that can go. So there are openings that get you there, but depending on the age of the child, each area is a little different. So we could take a look at that and see. I'm not sure what we can do, but
It's off landing, I guess.
somewhat.
Supposedly there is soft landing all around it. I don't
Okay.
know, I just wanted to point it out. Maybe put up at least a sign or something in front of all of them.
Get over in front
I
of that.
don't know.
Get over in front of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because Facebook Live's dying to hear from
I don't
you.
know what you could do. Maybe a sign. I'm not sure. So I don't know. I thought about it too, like mesh, but I don't know.
The daredevils don't want all that.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you for your comment.
Thank you.
Right?
I just wanted to address the drop-offs. I'm not familiar with what you're talking. Is it made that way? Is it? I mean, it's for kids to play on like that, right? But it's
not
just
even-
an age.
Well,
Is it-
I wouldn't even go down those drop-offs, but
Okay.
I mean, it's just they're to me they scare me to death. I know when my 5-year-old was 3, and then I had at the time a 7 or 8-year-old at the same time. You're going this way and that way, and yeah. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming down. Bye, Daisy.
Bye.
Guest speakers over.
Y'all have a good night.
Love it.
You too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Sorry. I wasn't trying to ignore you. I just
No
was
need to.
listening to that.
No need to apologize. My name is Clay Wilkie, 111 West 2nd Street, Owensboro, Kentucky. Thank you all for your time. You may or may not recall I was here a couple weeks ago to talk about guns. I'd like to talk about recycling tonight. I'm just kidding. I'm here to talk about guns.
Thank you for your comments. We'll see you later. Thank you.
We'll talk about recycling some other time because I do have some ideas I'd love to share
Commissioner
with you guys.
Condor's all in for that recycling, so talk
I'd
to
love
him.
to share my thoughts on that as well. In any event, just to recap, because I know you guys are busy, you do lots of things. This isn't your only gig. I appreciate that. We're having a gun show this weekend at the Owensboro Sports Center.
You are?
The city of Owensboro is
Oh,
hosting
okay.
a gun
You said
show.
we are. I just
we are the city.
Yes.
And I expect a great turnout, quite frankly. We've heard from the Messenger Inquirer, we've heard from NPR, we've heard from TV stations, or at least I have. And at the end of these comments, I'd like to hear from you guys, quite frankly. If you will recall, I had asked to have this item placed on the agenda at the last regularly scheduled meeting. I got a very well-written response from the city attorney indicating that he felt that the city's hands were tied, that KRS Chapter 65 precludes the city from taking any action that might in any way infringe upon someone's right to possess or carry or purchase guns or ammunition. On Friday of last week, I had emailed to the city attorney, the city manager, the mayor, and the commissioners a draft of a request for an opinion from the attorney general. And if you guys didn't receive that, I'd like to know that because apparently I have an incorrect email address. Again, my goal here is not to ambush or play gotcha, but to see where our elected officials are on what I consider to be the public safety issue of our time. And my hope is that you folks that we have elected to lead this community will help lead this community and to reach out to the Attorney General and to ask exactly what does KRS Chapter 65 mean? Can it preclude us as a city from refusing to contract with individuals that we don't want to contract with? I don't know, and as learned as counsel is, I don't know that he knows for certain. What I do know is after having a conversation with counsel with the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, I think we've got a problem this weekend. We, a community, because the sports center is within 1,000 feet of Owensboro Catholic's property, and while the city itself is not liable, any purveyors of guns that are in the sports center that do not have those guns locked in a container or affixed to a gun rack are in violation of federal law. And I'm not here to see anybody get in trouble. I don't want anybody arrested for doing what folks have done for years here, but it is time that we apply federal law and we comply with federal law. And I know we've got some representatives from the police department here. I know the flex team stays pretty busy. There will be plenty of guns down at the sports center this weekend. There will be plenty of people in violation of federal law. And I invite you guys to be proactive and to meet the people at the door as they walk in and to remind them of what the law states. Because again, I don't want anybody going to jail. I just think that our laws ought to be complied with. Aside from that, to use an analogy, because I do think this is a city issue. I have a law office down here on 2nd Street. And if I invited drug dealers into my conference room and they were dealing drugs on my property and I was getting a cut of those sales, I would be complicit in selling drugs. I think the city, as we are operating, is complicit in the sale of firearms to anybody that wants to pay $6 and carries a Kentucky ID. And we are long past the time that we should have learned that that's not responsible. And I would like some action from the city. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. Anybody else from the public? Samuel? Oh, come on, man. Let's talk about OHS back in the 60s. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.